moment. I kind of had an idea of what I was going to say, but I don't know if I can say it. First of all, let me just start off by just thanking God Almighty. I just want to thank God for taking what seemed impossible and placing me here today as a diamond. Man, Rob, I don't know what to do. I'm just so overcome right now, guys. You don't understand where I've been. 5 years thinking about this moment. My story, right? You guys want to hear the story? I started in the real estate business. I'd been in that business for more than 15 years. My family and I, we had been extremely successful. Had done exceptionally well. And we were meeting different people along the way and had the opportunity to meet a gentleman who I didn't really want to meet. He had a kind of a sneaky smile on his face. And I remember this mutual friend saying, you need to meet this guy. He's changed a lot of lives, and you guys have similar chemistry and personalities. I think at some point in your life, you're going to be able to work together and change the lives of thousands of people around the world. And I asked this person, well, what is this guy doing? What is his name? And he told me, and I said, well, no, I'm not interested in talking to him. He's involved in one of those things, and it's just a matter of time before he goes to jail. He says, no, man. You've got to meet this guy. Just do this one favor for me. And guys, in life, I believe that there are gifts and there are blessings. And if you're fortunate enough, you can get both. And I'll explain that in just a minute. And I decided that I would go ahead and meet this gentleman just to get my friend off my back. And that was almost 14 years ago. And that gentleman was, or is, Mr. Holton Bucks. He says you're very good at what you're doing, you're earning a lot of income doing that, but you don't have something called residual income. And he kind of offended me because when he said residual, Sam, I thought he was talking about something left over. I always had a lot of money left over. And I know he clarified that for me. He says you're really good at what you do, but you're going to need this at one point. Keep my number, let's stay in touch, let's keep our relationships good. And I'm going to go on and help other people change their lives through network marketing. Elgie, I will be there for you and your family because you're going to need me one day. And in 2007, Dave, things began to change. We began to lose everything. Lost our homes, lost our cars, lost 3 businesses. The money was gone, the lifestyle was gone. And all the people that we had helped, Dave, we had helped a lot of people. None of them were around. We couldn't find them. They wouldn't even loan us, wouldn't even invite us over for their homes. We had nothing. And one day I came home and the sheriff was there and forcefully removed us from our home, gave us enough time to go get a U-Haul truck. Are you guys familiar with the U-Haul truck? And here I am standing there looking at my wife, my 2 daughters and my son at that time, trying to figure it all out. And of course, everybody's mad at me, wondering what's going on, what happened to the money, and this sort of thing. And I was humiliated, I was ashamed, and I was completely embarrassed. And I went into a deep depression. And so we rented this U-Haul truck. We lived in that truck for a very long period of time, driving around. My son was extremely sick at that time, Elgie, young junior. He says, Dad, we got to get out of this truck. We got to do something they're looking for. We're going to go to jail. And we don't need any more pressure on us. And we're driving through, and I begin to do what most people do when they're in trouble, and that's pray. My son and I were driving through Missouri City, Texas, right outside of Sugar Land. There's this abandoned house. There's this abandoned house, boarded up, on the corner, 1 story. And my son says, Dad, we got to do something. And the minute he said that, Dave, there was this sign in the yard. The grass is about 3 feet high, and the sign was faded out, and it said for sale or for rent. You could tell the sign had been there for a long time. And my son said, Dad, you need to call that number. I said, we don't have any money. He said, Dad, we got to do something. You got to call. So I had a few minutes left on my cell phone. I called this number, ended up speaking with the lady who lived in Maryland. I told her my story and how we had lost everything, how we become homeless, we didn't have any money, and she began to cry with me. And she says, I don't know what I'm going to do with that house. It's completely uninhabitable. The cabinets are falling off the wall. It's infested. It's got mold issues. There's no carpet in it. If you go in there, you'll probably die. She says, but there's something about you. There's something about you. And if it will help your family get out of that U-Haul and get out of the streets, I will let you live in that house rent-free. All I want you to do is just fix it up when you get some money. God is good. And I said, okay. And I kept praying. And it was like things were just coming into place. I get this call from Mr. Holton Bugs on one of my old cell phones. You got to get over to my house. I've got something amazing I got to show you. If you choose to participate, it's going to change your life. And my son, who was really sick, had heard the conversation, wanted to go over with me to Holton Bugs' house in Orlando, but we had a problem. We had no car. So we ended up scrounging at one of the old sofas, found $10 worth of loose change, went next door to a neighbor's house we did not know, and asked her if we could borrow her car. And through God, she said yes. We ended up driving to Mr. Holton Early's house, driving to 3 gates, and I told my son, one of these days we're going to live like this again because you deserve it. I don't know how, but it's going to happen. I give you my word. So we get up to their house, we go in, and Holton's hugging us, and he's talking about this coffee thing, and I'm not really feeling it, because I'm not a coffee drinker, but my son who was there had on his hoodie, was real sick, and he was drinking it. And Holton, Early called him, he had to go away for a second. He lifted his head up and he says, Dad, I need to talk to you. I said, sure. He says, I can tell that you're not interested in this coffee business. You're not going to do it. I said, you're right. And he says, Dad, I need to give you 3 reasons. He was 22 at the time. I've got to give you 3 reasons. Now he's sick, very sick. He says, I want to give you 3 reasons why we got to do this. He says, number 1, Dad, you guys don't understand what kind of product we have, but I'm about to help you out. He says, Dad, you don't understand. He says, there's something in this coffee. I don't know what it is, but whatever it is, Dad, it's going to help a lot of people because it's helping me right now. Because it's helping me right now. I needed to hear that because he was so sick. We thought we were going to lose him. He was sick. And I said, oh, what else you got, Scooter? We call him Scooter. He says, Dad, I know we lost everything. He says, Dad, but I got something I want you to know. Dad, I love you still. I still believe in you. You are my dad. You're still my champion. I know you can do this. I know you can do it, Dad. You got to get back on top. Dad, you can do it. You can do it. I said, okay, Scooter, what's next? He says, Dad, we've known Holton and Early for a long time. They've never lied to us. And Dad, they will help us. They will help us. Holton came out of the room. I was crying. And he said, what do you want to do? I said, Holton, I just want my son to see me as a champion. One more time in my life. I'm not getting any younger. You tell me what to do, I'm going to do it. And guys, we got in the business, we didn't even have the money to get started. I didn't care. I was going to do whatever was necessary and sort of hurt anyone or breaking the law. I was going to show my son that I was still his champion. I thank God for him every single day. Yeah. The greatest blessing in my life, because sometimes you get both. If you have favor, I know that I have favor. The greatest blessing in my life has been Holton and Early Bugs. I want to close with this. This is so important. When I was going diamond, Holton and I were going back and forth. I texted him, I said, I'm so sorry. It took me so long. And he made me feel so good because this is what he said. Elgie, success is never late. It's always right on time. a chance to talk to him. I said, Holton, that is done. He said, I knew before you. It's done. And then there was silence on the phone. For about 30 seconds, nothing was said. Nothing. When I got off that phone, I dropped to my knees and I thank God for Holton Bunce again. Because this is what happened. While we were not saying anything, he was shedding a tear for me. He was shedding a tear for me. You don't